I'm leaving the stadium with a couple of my teammates, and we're walking to go get coffee. And I see this thing on the ground, and I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like, oh. And we get closer. I'm like, that's my jersey.
Becky!
I'm like, you could have just said no. Or like, I don't want your jersey.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Mewis, coming to you from the Women's Game World Headquarters in Vermont.
And I'm Becky Sauerbrunn, coming to you from Portland, Oregon. It is actually really nice to be back, Sammy. I've been on a road trip for the last 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, so you just walked in, dumped your suitcase?
Yeah, basically. And then I have a game tonight.
Oh my God, you're right, you do. Wait, are you a unpack your suitcase right away or a leave it and let the clothes like mill about for a while?
Oh, definitely leave it. And then should we go on the road again, I'll just wash what's in there and then put it back in.
That doesn't really surprise me about you. What do you think I do?
I think you get into the door, you open, and then you immediately put your dirty clothes into the laundry.
Literally, it's like the first thing I do. I like love it so much.
Yeah, that is the furthest thing from my mind when I get back from a road trip.
What, do you like shower first thing? Like or do you sit down on the couch right away?
It depends. It depends. If it's an early morning flight to get back, like I don't feel like that dirty, so I'll just sit on the couch
Fair.
and probably take a nap. But if it's international, like, yeah, I'll hop into the shower.
Yeah. So you've been traveling a ton. What's that been like? Like, what are the hotels like on the road?
Well, this road trip was all in Southern California, so the weather was really great. Hotels are great. The coffee is great. So for a road trip, I mean, there are worse places that you can be. It's been a lot of soccer. Like we went to San Diego and had a CONCACAF game. Then we bussed down, played LA, bussed back to San Diego for 2 regular season games, flew back, and then have training yesterday. And then we have the game tonight. So it's just like, it's a very packed schedule right now, but it's fun because it's soccer.
Yeah, I know. That sounds like a lot, but it sounds like fun. We have not seen you on this show in 3 weeks, and we have missed you so much.
I know. I kind of thought that maybe I had been quietly fired.
Ousted?
Yeah. Like you didn't tell me, but you just weren't scheduling me for things. So it was as nicely done as possible and I didn't get the message.
Well, Becky, you know what? We actually look at your schedule and we go, oh, look, Becky is away. So it's probably not a great time for her to pack up her podcast equipment on the road and get on a recording.
Oh, see, that's why sometimes being a pessimist is not a good thing, because I went to worst case scenario where I just got fired. I'll work on it.
I'm like actually dead. That is so funny. Okay. Today in the podcast, we're going to talk about all of the NWSL scorelines as we are only 4 matches away from playoffs. Then we are so lucky and happy to be joined by soccer goddess Christine Sinclair to discuss her career and retirement. Plus, we're going to talk about what went down in the WSL this weekend. And we got an email specifically for you, Becky, that is very witchy.
Oh, intriguing.
Yeah. But let's get into the NWSL first. So Gotham and Kansas City drew 1-1. Temwa Chawinga scored her 17th goal of the season, Becky.
I mean, are we surprised?
I mean, no. Temwa Chawinga, very fast, very good at soccer. You heard it here first. Don't go claiming you heard this on any other podcast. Temwa Chawinga is very, very good at soccer. The thing about her goal in this game against Gotham is that she was dribbling while she was running. Like, this wasn't a pure speed breakaway. She had to maintain the ball at her feet at that top speed. And I think that was the most impressive part about it. Like, yes, her distancing herself from the poor chasing center back was so incredible. But the fact that she took like 5 or 6 touches on the ball was just incredible to me.
Yeah, and her touch to get around the keeper,
I know,
was so smart and so well timed. There was just no chance.
I know.
For either the defender or the goalkeeper. Why don't forwards and like attacking players dribble around the keeper more?
I don't know.
Like when you're on a breakaway, are you thinking get around the goalkeeper and then just tap it in? Or are you thinking, no, I need to find an angle and an open space?
I would be thinking wait for the angle. And I think you're right to say that like that is easy to misjudge. Like you can say, oh, okay, all I have to do is go near post and then you can kick it right at the goalkeeper. I think you're right to say we should dribble the goalkeeper more.
Yeah, I've always been kind of surprised because I think Sid LaRue was super good at dribbling the goalkeeper. Soph Smith, I've seen do it hundreds of times. I'm like, why don't attackers do that more?
And you know what, Becky? It also might give you another chance as a center back to get back and slide it, clear it off the line.
Yeah, it's just, this is a long ploy so that I can have some like game saving clearances.
I knew it was, Becky. I knew you had an agenda here. I do want to talk about another thing in this game, though. Gotham's goal was kind of controversial. So Michelle Cooper on Kansas City was running out on a clearance to kind of continue clearing the ball, and she like ran into the ref. Like the ref kind of impeded her run. And then Gotham won the ball back. It ended up with Rose Lavelle out wide to Yasmin Ryan, who crossed it in, and then it caused an own goal on Kansas City for Gotham. So Gotham scored a goal. And the Kansas City players kind of stopped playing for a minute to protest that the ref had gotten in the way. And then they were clearly upset when the ball went in the goal. But Becky, I need to know what you think of this whole ref impeding the play situation.
So I was watching it, and I texted with my old club coach from St. Louis, because as long as he was a coach, he's been reffing as well. And I just asked him, like, what did you think about this play with the ref's involvement? And he said that by letter of the law, what happened is the correct, like, she didn't call it. She didn't stop the play. She let it go. What he said, though, is so unfortunate is it's like a once in a decade thing.
That it goes in.
That it leads to a goal. Exactly. And so we all know that if the ball had hit the ref, then the play stops. It's a ball for the team that was in possession at the time. So it's just super unfortunate. He did say that he probably would have called it dead, and then he would have had to like take some critique and criticism from the people that assess the refs in the games, because it wasn't by letter of the law.
Right. And the thing, again, it's like the ref could have decided to call it dead, and then we would have never known that it was going to turn into a goal. So like it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. But it's like, that's why the ref just, I don't know. It was crazy. And I totally understand why Kansas City was mad, because I would have been too. But at the same time, if it's the rules, it's the rules.
Yeah. And also you have to play till the whistle, which is like what we're always taught. Just, you can't stop on a play if you think it's out of bounds or if you think it's a foul. Like, you just wait to the whistle.
That is so true. That's wise advice. So this game ended up 1-1. Tough match, tough goal against for Kansas City. Gotham and Kansas City end up playing each other in the playoffs. That is going to be a wild ride. Moving on, North Carolina Courage beat Chicago 3-1 with a really nice goal from Denise O'Sullivan. I want to talk about Ashley Sanchez. She's in such great form this season. Ashley Sanchez crossed the ball in towards Brianna Pinto for the Courage's first goal, which actually was also an own goal, went in off the defender. And then later, Ashley Sanchez had some nice work out wide before slotting it centrally to Tyler Lucy, who laid it off for Denise O'Sullivan's goal. We then saw Caroline score later in the game before Ludmilla got one back for Chicago. But Emma Hayes was spotted at this game scouting for the U.S. Women's National Team, and I'm speculating, purely speculating, but hoping, wishing, that her eyes were on Ashley Sanchez, among other great players on both of these teams. But Becky, I want to know, well, one, what's it like as a player to know that the national team coach is in the stands watching? Like, does somebody tell you? Do you, like, play a little bit differently? Like, what is that like as a player to know that?
Every player, whenever they get the opportunity to play, should think that someone is watching them, because they are. I remember talking to Vlatko, and when he was the head coach for the national team, and he's like, we watch every single game. There's a complete like scouting system with people. There's always somebody attending a game that has eyeballs on field at these players. And even some training games, like games that you're not even sure are being recorded, they are being recorded. They're getting access to those games, you know? Like, so you should never not think someone is watching. Like, always think a national team coach, staff member is watching. In that sense, like, you're always going to play the same. You're always going to play as hard as you possibly can, as you should, no matter who's watching.
I do remember this one time in, like, I don't know, it must have been 2017. And I was playing for the Courage away in Seattle, and Jill Ellis was there. And I got coffee with her before the game, which to me was kind of like, why does Jill want to get coffee with me? Like, she must like me and like maybe wants me to like really be on the national team. And she basically was like, we're watching, like, you're doing really well, like, keep it up, we want you to be a part of this. And then I, like, went out and scored 2 goals in the game and, like, did so good. And thinking back on it, I think that the vote of confidence of her kind of being like, I'm here to watch, like, you're doing great, we want you to be involved, like, go have a great game, kind of made me be like, oh my God, I'm good, like, I can do this. And that memory was just like, that vote of confidence, I feel like, made me play better, that knowing that she was there. But
okay,
you're so right, too, to point out that, like, obviously they watched every game. And that just because the national team coach is there in person, like Emma Hayes was this weekend, like, she's watching all the other games, too. She's just at person at this one. I do want to ask specifically, do you think, could she have been there to watch Ashley Sanchez in particular? Like, I think Sanchez is having a great season, new to the Courage. She's scored a bunch of goals. She has a bunch of assists. Is she, like, making a case for herself to get called back in?
I certainly hope so, because I just really want players that are consistently performing at a high level week in and week out to be rewarded for that work. And I think Sanchez has, from the beginning of the season, been a stellar player for North Carolina. I think she's so important. I think she links the lines between the midfielders and the forwards. She finds herself in the most annoying of spaces, and it's so difficult to defend her. She's got great feet, really great vision, and she's got a flair to her that I really appreciate as well. Like, you can just tell, like, she's got some swag. And so I really do hope that I do think she's making a case for herself. So I do hope Emma's there to watch her specifically. I would love to see her get another call up. I do think she deserves it.
Yeah, I do too. I completely agree with you. Moving on, Orlando beat Houston 3-1. Another player who's, every time I watch Orlando, Summer Yates, midfielder, she stands out to me. I want to say I think she's, like, starting to warrant a call-in as well. I think that she is playing with confidence. She takes players on. She solves pressure out of the midfield. And she's a part of a winning team right now. I think that's something that we maybe don't talk about that much, but players who are contributing to these, like, winning teams, they're feeling confident. So they're playing well, and they might be in good form to go and have an opportunity with the national team. Speaking of Orlando, this is going to be our Olipop gut check of the week. And thank God, may I say, because I have literally been waiting for, oh my God, we both have lemon ginger lemon.
Mine's cream soda. Do you need to have your eyes checked?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just so thirsty, Becky. I have been saving this all day. At 12:00, I went, I want to have my Olipop now. But we were not recording at that time, so I had to wait.
Enjoy that sip. Oh, God,
I took like 4 jugs.
You drink half of it.
My eyes are a little bit watering, but, like, I needed it so bad. I'm so happy. Okay, Olipop gut check of the week. Orlando's on a freaking 23-game unbeaten streak. They have 4 games left. Becky, this is personal for you. They're playing, Orlando are playing the Spirit at home, Portland away, Gotham away, and Seattle at home. So the question is, can Orlando have an undefeated season?
Sam, as you know, the Thorns are trying very hard to make it into playoffs.
Yeah.
And Orlando is a team that we will be playing at our own place.
Yeah.
It is, historically a pretty difficult place to play at.
It is.
I think Orlando is having a crazy, amazing season. I can take nothing away from them. They are excellent. I cannot, in good conscience, bet against myself and the Thorns.
No.
So
we couldn't ask you to.
Thank you for understanding. Let's hope the world will understand, because I'm sure this is going to be seen places, headlines. I can't.
Becky Sauerbrunn says, bring it on, Orlando.
Exactly. We're going to give them a game. And I really hope we win that game, which then would mean they don't get an undefeated season. So there you go. You answer it, Sam.
I know. I will answer it. You know what? This is why it's the gut check. We put the hard questions here. I think that they could go undefeated. I do. I think they could, because ties are not defeats.
True.
They do have a hard schedule, especially playing the Spirit. Portland away is that's a tough one.
It is.
Gotham away is also a tough one.
Seattle at home, also a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a cakewalk. I think Orlando is capable of doing it, which is Something I never thought was possible in an NWSL season, just because the league is so difficult. The teams, even the teams at the bottom of the table, are so hard to beat. Anything can happen. I think that they could do it. And for the drama, I'm going to say that they will.
Okay. That's fine. No hard feelings.
All right, Olipop, you have broken up a long friendship and you have made headlines, but we love you so much. So thank you so much for being here with us and for making my day. All right. The Spirit beat Angel City 2-1. Ashley Hatch and McKenna Morris both scored for the Trinity Rodman-less Spirit. She's still out injured. This result is keeping Washington firmly in second place, 3 points clear of Gotham. Then we have San Diego versus Portland. San Diego won 2-0, despite being Alex Morganless. They're being led by interim manager Landon Donovan. It was a stalemate in the first half. Becky, I'm going to ask you to tell us more about this, but there were 2 goals from San Diego. Maya Jones got credit on the first one after a set piece pop-up bungles its way into the net, and then the second goal would come from 16-year-old Melanie Barcenas for her first NWSL goal. Her shot did take a deflection on the way in. So there was 2 goals against Becky. Both were unfortunate for Portland. On the other end, the Thorns couldn't convert. And I'm sorry to say this, but you guys have now had 5 losses, 1 draw, and 1 point in the NWSL since the international break. Mm-hmm. That's tough. Like, where's your head at?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think how we're reframing these last 4 games of the regular season is that they are in themselves their own season. So 12 available points. We are still in playoff contention, and we need to get points out of these last 4 games. And we're playing, obviously, NWSL teams that on any given day can beat one another. And so we have a shot in every single game. We know that we need to play these games as if they're knockout games because these points are crucial. And yeah, it's not great being in a run of form like this where we're just not getting the results. I will say that in some of these games, the feeling of how we're performing and how we're executing the game plan and the fight that I'm seeing from my teammates, it feels good. It feels better than where it's been before. Mm-hmm. And so I know this is a game where wins and losses are probably the most important, but I do need to put credit where credit is due, that the fight and the performance is important, especially going into these last 4 games and then hopefully into the playoffs. What I also can say is I've been a part of locker rooms where a run of these kind of results would lead to it becoming toxic and not fun to be in. And that is not the case with Portland right now. The locker room is quite strong and we enjoy each other's company a lot. Like I said, we were just on the road for 2 weeks and we had, 2 losses and a tie. But the fact that every single day we were working hard, every single day we were making connections with one another, we were hanging out, to me, that's also very important. Yeah. Because if we fracture now, it's not just this season that becomes a wash. It's then you're starting the next season at a disadvantage because the team is fractured. So it's a little short game. It's a little long game. But I do have faith that we have the talent and the heart within that locker room to get to playoffs. And then when you get to playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. Look at Gotham last year.
That's such a good point. I was going to say, it also sounds like you guys have the culture to figure this out. I also hate to bring this up, but earlier, your first part of the season wasn't going well, and then you guys turned it around. And then we had this very unfortunate conversation a few Good Vibes episodes ago about win streaks and losing streaks. And then, unfortunately, the soccer gods put the Portland Thorns on a losing streak. But hearing you talk about your team like that, I know exactly what you mean about bad results kind of opening up this door for bad culture to creep in. And it sounds like you guys are not doing that at all, which is incredible. So my money is on Portland to make playoffs. And then, like you said, exactly anything can happen. Portland are also playing in other competitions right now. You guys have a Champions Cup game tonight versus Santa Fe of Panama at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. How are those games feeling? Are you viewing this upcoming game as an opportunity to kind of refocus and have a little change in mentality of the regular season games?
Yeah, I do see it as an opportunity. I think it's a chance for rotation. And so I think there are going to be chances for players that haven't had as many minutes to get a lot of minutes in some of the games. And so I think it's just a great opportunity to keep legs ticking over. I think to keep players happy because, every player is happier if they're getting minutes. And also, to change the mentality a little bit. It's nice to go against teams and players that you've never played against before, you don't very often. And so it's a nice chance to try different tactics and do different set pieces and just kind of try things that you can then apply to the NWSL league matches. Right. So I've been digging these games. I think they've been fun and it's nice to play new competition sometimes.
Yeah, I think playing different competition is awesome. And I know exactly what you mean by that. I think it's also such a great opportunity to keep that team culture really strong. You all can support these players who maybe don't get as many minutes and the starters are maybe on the bench cheering them on. And that's kind of something I think that would really unite a group and give your team this opportunity to get a win and then head into the weekend with a little bit more momentum and just feeling really good and close knit together.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I also think sometimes when you're in a losing streak, winning feels so hard. Everything has to go you feel like everything has to go so right. And you kind of lose perspective about, it's a soccer match and winning and losing, it's part of it. But it doesn't have to be perfect for you to get a win. You just got to find a way. And I think we have to remember there are a lot of different ways that you can find a win.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'll be cheering for you guys. Everybody go watch Becky's game as soon as you're done listening to this. It's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, the news heard around the world. Christine Sinclair is retiring from football at the end of the season. Becky, retiring from the Thorns.
Yeah, sad. I mean, I knew a little bit before everyone else did because, I'm in with Christine Sinclair. But it is sad. It's the ending of an era for a lot of players that I have grown up with.
Yes, Becky, it has been a year with a lot of retirements in it, which is a lot of change. I'm excited that we have this chance to celebrate Christine and to chat with her. Christine Sinclair is an Olympic gold medalist, a 2-time Olympic bronze medalist. She's the all-time world leader in international goals scored. She's also Canada's all-time cap leader with, Becky, 331 caps. When I saw that number that began with a 3, I literally was like, oh my God.
Wild.
It's wild. Christine is a 14-time Canada Player of the Year. It would just be exhausting to keep listing all of these accolades because there are literally so many and we get to have her here in person. So I am very, very excited and lucky to say, Christine Sinclair, welcome to Good Vibes. I'm so excited to have you here. This feels a little weird. I'm going back in time to an old Courage Thorns rivalry. It is kind of 2 against 1 here. Thorns versus Courage.
Or, how do you feel about
don't
that,
even
Sammy?
say it, Becky. Don't even.
Or you could flip it and say Americans versus Canadian.
We could. Two Good Vibes podcast hosts versus 1 podcast guest.
Okay, I'm hanging up.
Okay, Sink. Well, we know you retired from international soccer last year, and you've now announced that you're retiring from the NWSL and professional soccer at the end of this season. I want to know, how you're feeling, and I'm wondering if you have clarity. How did you know this was the right time?
So when I retired from the national team, I knew I wanted to try a year just playing professional. Men do it all the time. And I just wanted to see what it felt like to not have to go on international duty, to not go to the Paris Olympics, and just be able to truly live and play for one team and spend time with my family and enjoy those international breaks where we get 4 days off. I've never experienced that. Those are amazing. But the goal was always 1 year. And how am I feeling? I was really worried. If you would ask me this 2 years ago, I would have been I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I'm so at peace with it. And the longer the season has gone on, the more and more I know it's the right time. I know I've literally done everything I can for this game, whether it be the national team, whether it be the Thorns, whether it's giving back. I've done everything I can. My body has given everything it can. and every day I wake up and I'm more and more excited now to do other things. I didn't feel that 4 years ago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you look back at all the years that you've been doing club and country? Because you did country before you were even a professional, right? You were telling me.
I was a child.
You were a child when you got your first appearance with Canada, which was when? How old were you?
I was 16.
16.
Yeah. So it was just after the 99 World Cup. Canada did very poorly in that tournament, and they brought in a new head coach, Evan Pellerud, and the first camp invited like a bunch of youngsters, and he realized that it was time to move on and kind of build for the future. And yeah, he gave 16-year-old me a shot. And next thing I know, I'm like traveling to the Algarve.
Oh, the good old Algarve.
Good old Algarve, yeah.
These youngins don't know what they missed, I tell you what, with Algarve. Do you ever, like, now that you've got to experience FIFA breaks where you're not immediately flying after a professional game to an international duty, are you like, how have I done this for 25 years? Like, how did I physically, mentally do it? You played at such an elite level for so long. Like, that to me is the most extraordinary part of your career, is how good you've been for so long.
Okay, well, that part, like, I've been very lucky. And I work hard. I do the little things to try and keep my body functioning. But I've been very lucky. And whether that's genetics, who knows, in terms of injuries and just how my body has been able to respond to the demands of the game and the evolution of the game and playing on turf. Yeah, I've never been one to like run around like a chicken. And I mean that, like, you know, young players coming in are just like, all over the place. And that's never been me. And yeah, I like my body in the sense, like, I don't want it like snapping. No, I try not to like go into too many crazy tackles with goalkeepers and things like that. Yeah, I try to play smart. I try to use my head more than my body. And I feel like that started when I was like a little kid. You know, you're like swarming in bee soccer, you know, and my parents had pictures of me, and I'd always be the one like standing on the outside of the swarm, just waiting for the ball to pop out. So I think I've always done it.
Just always outsmarting everybody. That's exactly how I would feel playing against you. Is I'd be like, I felt like I was like, okay, I can do this, and then I would just get outsmarted, which was so annoying and so frustrating. But I feel like, Sink, you've been through so many iterations of the game. Like, you've seen multiple versions of women's soccer over the span of your career. I want to know, like, if you're happy with the progress that we've made, and I also want to know if you have any like stories that would shock the kids today.
Okay, so the evolution of the game has been incredible to see. I mean, just teams that I played on when I first joined the national team, we literally just like lumped the ball forward as like far and high as possible. It was great soccer. Our midfield were like, this is fun. But that was the only way as, you know, young Canadians we could compete. And then we made it like hard for the opposition to play against. I mean, we prided ourselves that teams didn't like playing us. And now to see where the game is, it's how I want to see the game being played. You know, obviously you have to be athletic, you have to have speed and stamina, but man, the technical ability of the players now, just teams, the variations of formations that they're able to play and adapt like in game. I feel like 15 years ago, that was just, no, we are playing this and we are going to play it no matter what. I don't care. And I think because the game has evolved to where it is now, like, it's allowed me to keep playing. Because if we were still just lumping it up, like, there's certain things I know I can't do anymore or I don't want to do anymore. And yeah, so it's allowed me to keep playing and kind of evolve as a player, more of like a pocket nine now. Instead of just running in behind, there's young players to do that. So I'll just find the spaces.
Talk to us just for a second about those early days. What were like the conditions like? Like, do you have a story you remember that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we went through that?
Do you have like 10 days? No, I mean, there's just, for me, it's like early days on the national team that I remember. And our head coach, we had just been pummeled by the U.S. Like probably 9-0, maybe 9-1. I might have scored a goal. And our coach decided then and there that the reason we weren't doing well against the U.S. is because physically we were, you know, they were so much more superior than us. And so that next day, we I remember we were running flights of stairs. But it gets worse with people on your back.
Stop.
Like, I remember I was close with Randy Hermes. She was a player on the national team when I first joined, and she's not a little girl. And like, she was on my back, and we're running like 5 flights of stairs and like doing intervals like that. So that was good.
It's tough.
Or there was the lack of like awareness of player load. You know, there was no management whatsoever. Like, we'd play a game and they'd decide the next day is the perfect day to like gain fitness because you're already tired, and we'd go on like a 10K run. It's like, this is insane. Yeah, I'm glad things have evolved.
Can we speak a little bit about just the Canada-US rivalry? And are there games that are in your mind that you think about? Maybe they were great games for Canada, maybe they were not great games for Canada, but do you have games or like goals that you remember? Because I have one very distinct US-Canada game, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Well, there's been a few.
I know. So many.
I think as a Canadian, how we would approach the US games, because you guys, we always said you were number one for a reason. As Canadians, being your neighbors, like, we hated that. And like, we always felt like the little sibling, the younger sibling that was always just trying to like catch up. And I mean, obviously things were not perfect for you guys, but the support you had from the Federation, the funding you had, just the standards you guys had, whether it was just simple equipment or the number of camps you were able to have, we were envious of what you had, and not in a bad way. Like, it was like, see, that's how women athletes should be treated at the very least, you know what I mean? And obviously we always want more. And then on the field, I've always been impressed that Canada has been able to compete recently just based on sheer numbers. Because like, we grew up learning like, oh my God, there's more people in California than there is in all of Canada. So it's, for us, it's like we're always punching above our weight. And then the game is so small. We all play on the same teams and with each other now. So it's just added to it. It's fun. It's good fun, and except for those 90 minutes.
I know, it's always like, I know we hate playing you guys, and it's always a battle. And it's so weird because like, I love you guys. There's so many of you that I really like. But when we play against each other, like, I really, really hate you.
That's fair. Feelings mutual, whatever.
Yeah, it's great.
He hates me.
Just for those 90 plus minutes. Can we talk about the 2012 semifinal? Because this is one of my most distinct memories, soccer memories, is that, Sinky, you scored a hat trick in that game. Like, you were...
And we still lost.
I know. It's like, I watched most of that game, and I just watched you. I think you had 2 headers, and then you dribbled through our back line one time. And I was like, this forward is having the game of her life.
Yeah.
And then we still beat you. And I almost felt bad for you. I didn't. Almost. I didn't actually feel bad for you.
That's fair. Fine.
But that was such a wild game that I can't not ever think about it. Because it always, for whatever reason, something will trigger and I'll be like, I think about that game. Because do you remember the ref's call that kind of led to...
I remember No, Becky, I don't. Please tell me. Remind me.
Sorry, you guys have to tell me. This is the 2012 London Olympic semifinal. The US won 4-3. Sink had a hat trick. What was this ref situation?
Okay, so Canada is winning 3-2 with like time ticking down. Okay, like maybe like 5 minutes left. I can't remember exactly. And Erin McLeod gets the ball in her hand, goalkeeper for Canada. Mm-hmm. And as goalkeepers do, she took her time to punt the ball. Have you ever seen that called?
I think I know what this is now.
And then the ref, without warning Erin, calls it the free kick, like inside our 18. And then the resulting free kick gets shot into our player with, I don't know. Well, I don't know about VAR these days, but I like to think her arm was within her silhouette. And next thing you know, the U.S. has a PK score. And then they scored with literally 30 seconds to go on extra time, I think.
Yeah, it was double overtime.
Yeah.
It's ringing a bell now.
Wild.
Oh, it still makes me angry, obviously. Like, I'm still not over it. But as a Canadian, like, that game changed, like, the trajectory of not only our national team, but now there's a professional league coming to Canada. Like, I swear to God, I think it was that game that just the support from back home and the way an entire country rallied around our team. Like, I'd never experienced anything like it. And I have the US to thank.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
That is really
Anything
cool.
for you.
Your Canadian team then went on the next 3 Olympics to get bronze medal, gold medal.
Yeah.
And at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, think now that we can turn the tables on ourselves, Canada beat us in the semifinal. Your team went on to win gold. Is that like the culmination for you of your career, was this gold medal at the Olympics, looking back over all those other games, losses, goals, everything?
It was like, finally. You know what I mean? Honestly, I never thought, not only did I never think we'd win like back-to-back bronze medals, like, but to win gold. And like, it was a little bit of revenge for a few of us. That I remember, like, Desiree Scott, she sits next to me in the locker room, and it was right before heading out for that semifinal game again against the US, and she just looks at me, she's like, I've waited 8 years for this moment. You know? Like, so like, there was definitely like some of us, ooh, yeah, it was like now or never, literally, because that was it for us. Yeah, I mean, had I not won a gold medal, obviously I'd still be very proud of my soccer career. I can't lie, it's nice. It's nice to finally win something with the national team after so many years of like coming up very short or coming up like just short, you know? It was nice to finally win.
Okay, I want to talk about Portland really quickly. You played for the Portland Thorns the entirety of the club's existence in the NWSL.
Yeah, all the highs and lows.
All the highs and lows. Why Portland? Why did you never leave?
Yeah, I think like for people that don't know, I mean, obviously I went to university here, and the joke around the University of Portland is that once you come to UP, you never leave. And I made this home, and obviously soccer's taken me to like New York to play, or, you know, California, but I knew I always wanted to come back to play in Portland. And when the NWSL was forming as an international player, I got to pick, and I literally just wrote down Portland.
Portland or bust?
Yeah, he's like, no, you have to pick 3. I'm like, no, you don't understand. And
no,
it's just been, I mean, even through the awful times that this club has been through, it's been a dream come true of mine to play here. I have family that live in Portland. 2 of my uncles played for the Timbers. I was meant to play here. And like, I go in the stadium and I see like my uncle's picture up there. I'm like, this is where I was meant to play. And could I have left? Sure, but I didn't want to. I'm proud that I'll retire just being a Thorn.
Becky, what is Sync like as a teammate?
Oh
Becky,
my gosh.
keep your no.
What, do I have 10 days? So on the soccer side, just like the consummate professional, always taking care of her body. If she needs treatment, she's always in there to get treatment. She just is a professional and knows clearly like how to stay healthy, how to be available. And then on the field, just so intelligent and defending against you, Sync. Like, you always find the right spaces. You're technical, like you see the space, where to play the ball. Every time you kind of like chest it and then blindly hit it across the field to the open defender, I'm always like, every single time she does that. And it works every single time. And just your finishing, like, you're not one to go for power. It's always finesse and placement. And I'm so glad I got to play with you so I could like actually witness the greatness day in and day out. Just like, it's no shock to me that you have so many goals, because how you place the ball and how you see the space and goal, like, it's like a beautiful thing to watch. It really is. And then just personality, like, she's kind of a little shit. Like, you are, Sync. Love you to death. But you always like the one-liners, some sarcasm, some dark humor. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I'm
you do.
I'm like, Sync, you can't say that. You can't say that out loud. That's one that has to stay in your brain. But just like the humor, always up for a laugh. Like I said, I just feel very fortunate that I've gotten to play with you for 5 years now. And because I've been playing against you for so long and have only heard great things. So then to actually be able to see it day in and day out, I feel very fortunate.
Can I tell a funny story?
Please.
And it's about Becky.
Please.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. So like when I don't know people, I'm like really shy. Okay. And this was Becky's first year in Portland. And it takes a lot for me to ask a player to exchange jerseys. Okay. So it was hide your head.
Did she say no?
No, it gets better. It gets better. So here I am, like I'm shy. I'm like, I don't really know Becky. Like it was COVID year. Like we hadn't spent that much time around each other, but I have always just so respected her. And she was like, you might be the only player I've ever asked to swap jerseys with. Okay. And so I'm like, Becky, can we please swap jerseys? She's like, yes, of course. So like the next day we both bring our jerseys, whatever. And that day, Becky left before me, left the stadium. And so I'm leaving the stadium with a couple of my teammates and we're walking to go get coffee. And I see this thing on the ground and I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like, oh, and we get closer. I'm like, that's my jersey.
Becky.
I'm like, you could have just said no. Or like, I don't want your jersey.
You keep going with the story. You sent me a picture.
She was absolutely mortified.
I bet.
Appalled at myself.
Did it just fall out of your bag?
Yes.
Fallen out of her bag.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like, because I was so honored when you asked, and I'm sure I was being very awkward myself and just being like, oh my God, Christine Sinclair just asked to trade jerseys with me. So when you sent me that picture, I was like almost in tears. I was like, I've offended a legend.
It was so funny.
It was so accidental. Like, I can't stress that enough. Please, people, don't hate me. It was so accidental.
But it's all right. We've made up. It's all good now.
Yeah, it took 4 years, but we got there.
We're finally speaking again.
I have a question. I'm kind of asking for myself. You've scored so many goals. You've had so many incredible moments. Like, what are you looking forward to? And do you think that you're going to need to like replace some of these good feelings with something else? And what could that be?
You know, that was my concern like a while ago. I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I've literally since I was 4 years old, like I've always had a purpose or a goal. And now like sitting here, I'm not worried. Like I want to go on vacation. I want to I have 2 nieces that somehow think I'm like moving in with them now that I'm going to be done playing soccer. I'm like, I don't think that's how it's going to work. But no, to be able to spend my time with family, to go to like my cabin, I've determined to take like a year off of like soccer's been very kind to me. Like if I don't want to work, I don't necessarily have to work, but soccer has been my life. And so I know I'm not going to like quit cold turkey. I do want to get involved, with the new league up in Canada. I want to, start supporting them. I've got a team in my hometown of Vancouver. Can't wait to support them. But then I do want to try coaching at some point. I have no desire to be a head coach. I've seen way too many head coaches go bald and go gray to want that. But the thought of working with strikers, working with like on the attacking side of the game, I think I have a little bit of knowledge to offer up, but I want to give it a go. And I might hate it, but at least I'll have tried it.
Last thing we'll ask for you, Sink, if you're thinking about getting into coaching, can you share with us preemptively one striker hack for young girls out there who might be listening? What's the one thing you try to do?
Okay, well, here's like my mom. She coached me when I was little. And I mean, she taught me nothing other than like, I'll just never forget her saying, like, every rep you do with your right foot, you do with your left foot. Like, and so for a little kid, like, and I remember being in practice being like, well, I shot with my right, now I have to shoot with my left, you know. And so that's helped me. And then in terms of finishing, it was a joke in college where it's like, the goal is so big and the goalkeeper is so small. Just shoot it where she is.
Oh, I've been doing it wrong.
Simple, you know. No.
I think that this is going to blow up and become revolutionary advice that everybody, kids to adults, professionals are going to just write this down and say, Sink told me on the Good Vibes podcast.
That's all you need to know.
Sink, it has been such an honor to talk to you. It was always such an honor to play against you. Such a pleasure to have you on the show. Congratulations on truly a one-of-a-kind career, and we wish you all the best with your next chapter.
Thank you so much for having me. And I only felt a little ganged up, but that's okay.
That's pretty good.
Okay, thanks so much again to Christine Sinclair. What a legend. So across the pond, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man City all won their WSL games. We saw Kat Macario sub on and score a goal in Chelsea's 7-0 win over Crystal Palace. Plus, Emily Fox helped hold it down for Arsenal's shutout as they beat Leicester City 1-0. Becky, 7-0 for Chelsea. Is 7-0 too many?
No, it's never. Keep scoring goals, because at the end of the season, when all that goal differential is getting piled up, you're going to hope that you scored 7 goals on a couple teams.
That's why Chelsea won the WSL last year. It was on goal differential.
There you go. Never stop scoring.
No mercy rule. You got to bury.
Yeah. Do you remember when we got so much criticism from the 2019 World Cup because we beat Thailand?
I do. It might be why I put this question in here, Becky, because we just need to keep proving our point to the football world out there.
Exactly.
Lindsay Horan scored a brace in Lyon's win over Strasbourg. Sophia Huerta, who is on loan to Lyon from Seattle Reign. She was on the bench for Lyon, but she didn't enter the game. But I'm excited for Soph to be over in France, living it up, eating croissant.
I know. I'm really stoked for her. I am very excited to watch her play for Lyon.
Me too. And then we had Lily Johannes score an awesome goal this weekend in Ajax's win over Vrol in the Eredivisie, which is the Dutch league. Lily Johannes is the undecided international midfielder who could come and play for the U.S. women's national team. She's really growing into the game. Becky, do we think that if maybe an NWSL club started kind of targeting her, she would swing right on over to the U.S. and be decided?
I mean, I would hope every single NWSL side is trying to get Lily Johannes to come over. I would hope that it would sway her decision. You are better friends with her than I am. So what do you think?
Me and Lily, we are tight. We did share an incredible 30-minute Friendlies interview, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Lily was so sweet. I'm excited for her. Her goal was awesome. We posted a highlight of it on our social media. I would love to see Lily Johannes with the U.S. women's national team. I think this upcoming October window is actually, I was going to say it's going to tell us a lot about what Emma Hayes is thinking, but I actually think it's going to be a celebration of the Olympics. And then maybe November will tell us a little bit more about what Emma Hayes is thinking for the future. So we'll see. Time will tell, but very excited about Lily, and I hope that she decides to play for the U.S. The Champions League draw happened on Friday. So there were 16 teams drawn into 4 groups of 4. The group stage kicks off next week, and there are a few really exciting matchups in the group stage. Coming up next week, we have games Chelsea versus Real Madrid, Bayern versus Arsenal, and Man City versus Barcelona.
Goodness me, what a draw.
I know. It was a really cool draw. It was on DAZN. I actually went on the show, Becky, and I gave a little insight into my old team at Man City.
Look at you, Sammy. You are taking over the soccer world.
Just getting on shows and just giving my opinions. We'll keep everybody posted on those games next week, but the Champions League is going to be very spicy this season. I am very excited about it. We need to go to the inbox. We got an email from Deirdre that was for none other than Becky Sauerbrunn. So Deirdre writes, Becky, it's spooky season. It's getting cold. It's getting rainy. We know you're so happy. The vibes are mystical, and it's time to join a coven. What spooky, witchy, mystical book can I be reading, and what cup of tea would go perfectly with it?
Oh, I don't drink a lot of tea, But I feel like a chai tea latte could like go really good with this book that I read a few months ago. It's called Heartless Hunter by Kristen Carcerelli, I believe is how you say it. And it's one of those like romance, fantasy, witch hunter, great vibes. I thought it was super well written. It was a page turner. I was like, I got to finish this within 24 hours. And so highly recommend. I think the second book comes out relatively soon. So more to look forward to.
Okay, speaking of witchiness, hang on. This is going to go off the rails for a second, but I saw this video of Aubrey Plaza.
Okay.
And they were asking her, like, they wanted to make witch the new brat. So, like, you know how we'd say, oh, she's brat, or like having a brat summer. It would be like, oh, she's witch, or like having a witch fall.
Okay.
And I was like, yes, like that's witch.
Okay. We got it.
Okay. So, Becky, I have this little list here of soccer things, and you and I need to decide if they're witch.
Okay.
So, like, we're like helping, we're like the Charlie XCX of witch. Like we're supporting Aubrey Plaza's definition of witch, but we're defining it on soccer terms here.
Okay. I'm game.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say the thing, and then you and I are going to decide if it's witch or not. Winning the coin toss. Is it witch?
I think it's witch if the honorary captain wins the coin toss for your team.
Oh. Because are they kind of like a little good luck charm? Like
exactly.
Maybe like casting a little bit of a spell on the coin?
Yeah, Lauren Holiday won me the coin toss during the Angel City match.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And that was witch.
That is witch. Okay. Is it witch if it's pouring rain during a match?
No, that's just good luck.
It's just good luck.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the soccer gods decided to smile down on the field that day.
I need to know, it's like, is witch like good?
Yeah, I feel like I'm thinking witch means like a little mystical power is moving things in your direction.
Okay, so what about getting a red card? Is that witch?
I would say no, not witch.
I would say it's brat.
Oh, okay. You just added a whole new element.
Getting a red card is like, okay, like that's brat. But like witch is like getting away with like not getting a red card.
Exactly.
Like when maybe you should have and you're like, no.
Yup. Precisely.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Okay. Is dribbling the keeper witch? Yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's got to be.
I think it's more witch, though, that it gives the defender who's chasing after the ball a chance for that game line saving clearance.
Which is witch. Like
which is totally
witch.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I hope everybody understands what witch means. If not, ask Aubrey Plaza. If not, also, I don't know, just send us your definitions for what you think witch means. You can write us with questions. You can send us your definition. Email us at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. That was really fun, Becky. We came up with a new term.
Yeah, and I'd like to just make it known that I had no idea what we were talking about that entire segment because I still don't understand witch.
Very witch of you.
Which is witch.
It's very witch of you. Okay, well, can you guys believe this? The end of the episode is here. I'm so sad that this episode is over. It was so much fun to define witch, to talk to Christine Sinclair, and to force Becky to answer a question about if Orlando is going to go undefeated. Becky, do you have a good vibe for our beautiful listeners this week?
I do have a good vibe. So I think I've talked to you before about I hate warming up for training. You're always in the same lines and you just kind of like try to figure out things to talk about in order for the time to pass faster. So in my line, we've got a rookie, Mally, and me and Megan Klingenberg somehow convinced her that Klingenberg, as well as a professional soccer player, moonlights as a professional breakdancer. And that it started way back in college that she helped pay her tuition by breakdancing. That when she went to play soccer in Sweden, she was also competing in international breakdancing. We got her to think that she could find old competitions on YouTube. And we were like, yeah, just like put in the search bar, Megan Klingenberg, dancing, Sweden, like it should just pop up. She did do that. And was like texting with Klingenberg and was like, I can't find anything. Like I just see soccer and some karate stuff. But to this day, like this was weeks ago, Sammy. And to this day, I still don't know if she knows that we were messing with her. And so my good vibe is taking advantage of gullible rookies.
I so appreciate that story. I am fascinated by this. I want to know how many people are going to Google or YouTube search Megan Klingenberg dancing Sweden. And this random video is going to get so many views for just a joke between Becky and Kling.
Yes. And it was so funny because everyone's listening and hearing this happen. The athletic trainers
and nobody gave it away.
Nobody gave it away. And we kept adding to it, to the story. And she was just like, no way. Like, what's your favorite move? So like Kling on the spot came up with this like weird little move. It was like masterful.
Do you think she's going to listen to this episode and realize?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Oh, God bless. Bless her little heart. Bless her
Yes.
little heart. My good vibe today literally is my Olipop because how good it was and how long I had to wait to drink it today. I'm just like obsessed, and there's just nothing like cracking open a cold can. You know what I mean?
Totally. And like I said, you need to send me another shipment.
I'm on it. Consider it sent. Everybody, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. If you're still here listening to us babble on and on, I just love you so much. I hope you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe right now, you pumpkin spice latte. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And you can follow us across all social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Women's Game MIB. Coming up this week, we have an interview with Georgia Stanway. And we talk about our time together at Man City, her upcoming ongoing season with Bayern Munich, the Champions League. And we even talk about Georgia giving me a tattoo. Becky, Georgia Stanway is training to be a tattoo artist. How cool is that?
That's so cool.
Oh my God, it's so witch. I love that so much. Georgia is the best. We had some great laughs this episode, so you don't want to miss that on Thursday. All right, everybody, goodbye. Hope you all have a witchy week.
I'm Becky Sauerbrunn.
And I'm Sam US. We love you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.